Yes, good morning. We decided to get out of the studio this morning and we came to Lengthwise Brewing Company here in Southwest Bakersfield. Now we're actually at their district location, and if you're wondering where I'm at right now, well, I'm actually on top of their brew house, and this is very important because this is where all the brewing magic begins and happens. But I'm joined here now with Jason this morning. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Alex.
Tell everyone a little bit about, I want to know the process. How do you brew this amazing beer?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So you are standing on the brew house. Outside actually is where all of the magic really begins and starts. We have two enormous silos of barley, and so the barley is trucked in from diesels, and they come in, they load up. The barley then goes into a crusher where it cracks the barley, and then it travels in actually through this hose up here, and it drops into our mash tun. This is where we add hot water, and all of the sugar is extracted out of the barley. From that point, once we get everything distracted, all of the water, it's called a wort. That's the natural product of the beer making. So that product then transfers into the boiling kettle where it's going to boil at high temperatures, and then you can have some of your boiling hops that are added in there as well. And at that point, it's going to boil for a couple of hours at very high temperatures, and then once that's all done, then it's going to transfer over to our bright beer tanks are where all of the fermenting takes place. Yes,
yeah, I know. Now, what do these do? Because this is, after it goes from here, it gets transferred into the fermenting, right?
Yes, these are all of our bright beer fermenting tanks. And so once the beer transfers over here, they're going to be in these kettles for anywhere from 14 to 35 days.
Wow.
So it's quite a long process, and it's definitely a process that is it's very sterile. We want to make sure it's sterile along the way to make sure that nothing damages the product.
Right. And you guys actually can the beers here. So this is one of your machines. Now this is only half of the machine, is what we were talking about earlier.
This is half of the machine, just as a display to show everybody. But
and so walk us through a little bit of the process too. So
absolutely. This is our canning unit right here, and so the product will come from the fermenting tanks, and it'll come into this canning unit, and you can see the cans are started to line up there. They'll travel down the conveyor belt where they're injected with the product the beer that we're going to be canning on that day, and then they travel down along, and then this next tube is a lid. So the cans will then get a lid.
Because all of these are actually lids in here.
Those are all little tiny lids.
Oh,
yep.
Wow,
and so the unit is all automated. It does all of the work for us. It puts a lid on, it comes down around the conveyor belt, and then it has a sealer. So the can comes up and it spins around and it seals the lid on top, and then it transfers around the corner. We have a quality checking system to make sure that the right amount of volume of product is in each can. And then it travels down, and then it gets labeled down here in this area, and then it travels off, and then it gets topped, and then packaged up into the cases.
Amazing. And they do about 3,000 barrels a year here. But coming up in just a little bit, we're actually going to go outside and talk about how they've had to adjust during this COVID period. Good morning. Yes, we're at Lengthwise Brewing Company here in Southwest Bakersfield, back once again, joined with Jason. And so, Jason, I know we were talking a little bit this morning. Can you give everyone the history of this place? How did it even get started? Because I know it's family owned and operated, right?
It is, absolutely. As a matter of fact, my brother, Jeff Williams and Darren Schwicker, established Lengthwise Brewing Company back in 1998. And it started from a little warehouse all the way up to where we are right now. And just creating some of the most amazing beers that are out there right now.
Oh, that is amazing. Speaking of amazing beers, take a look at all of these taps right here. So you guys obviously have a huge selection of beer. How did you get the names for all of these beers? That's what I'm most interested about. We have Kern County Crude Porter, we have Raspberry Wheat, we have so many beers. How did you guys start coming up with all of these names?
Absolutely, that's a great question. As you can see, we've got a wide variety of beer, something for everybody, whether it's an IPA, whether it's a wheat, whether it's a porter, whether it's a lager. We have all different varieties of beer, up into and including, we just came out with 4 brand new seltzers. So we have a watermelon candy seltzer. How delicious does that sound?
I know. I got to smell some of them. They smelled just as good as the name sounded.
Absolutely. We've got an orange sickle, I think it's orange sickle seltzer. We have also a black cherry, and we have a red raspberry seltzer as well. So with seltzers being really popular on the market right now, we wanted to make sure that we produce some of the, some really tasty seltzers.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are very popular. All right, let's grab our drinks and go outside because you guys are actually closed on the inside, obviously due to COVID. But however, you guys are open on the outside. You guys have an amazing patio area. So tell me a little bit about how you guys had to adapt given everything that's been going on with COVID.
Absolutely, yeah. As you can see, we're closed on the inside. So we've got, with it being closed, it made it very difficult. And the good thing is that we were able to maintain, we were able to continue to stay open. In the very beginning, it was only takeout. And then once it was opened up, we were able to go ahead and open up our patio. And the good thing about Lengthwise Brewing Company is you're about ready to see, we've got an enormous patio, probably one of the largest patios in Kern County. And so with the social distancing, like I say, when you're inside, we recommend everybody wear a mask. But as you can see here on the outside, we've got a very large patio where people can come, they can sit down and enjoy themselves. We've got a couple of really large cooler fans, so
keep everybody
we
nice
set them
and
up to
cool.
keep everybody nice and cool.
Yes.
And,
now during COVID, did you guys have to make any adjustments? Because obviously you guys are going at full speed brewing. Did you guys have to stop any of your brewing or change anything or throw out any beer? I mean, how does that work?
We were lucky enough with Lengthwise Brewing Company being a staple in Bakersfield. We were lucky that we didn't necessarily have to throw any beer out. We did have to slow down the production. Obviously, with the demand dropping down with COVID, we did have to slow the production down because the distributors and restaurants that were closing down, they didn't need the product. And so what we were able to do is we were able to transfer a lot of the product from kegs that would go through distributions. We were able to transfer that product into bright beer tanks where we could then can it and we could have it for bottling and canning.
And the growlers and stuff.
Yep, growlers.
Yeah.
Yep, we've got, you can see all the different range of products that we have. So we were definitely able to stay, moving forward with, this type of a situation just because of the fact that Lengthwise has a staple and has a name that we can
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And you guys open at 11 o'clock today. We're at their district location, but of course they have other locations as well. But they're opening at 11. So if you're looking for a nice place to come and cool down and socially distance and get outside and enjoy something nice and fresh, you guys can come over to Lengthwise Brewery. I'll send it back to you, Tori.